Peace. Y'all, Audrey, shalom. This was the worst. Trying to get this thing restarted. Oh, I feel like I just need to start over. Oh my God. Hold on, y'all. Everything good? Okay. Trina, hey girl, hey. Okay. All right. People start to come back in both places. Okay. Y'all, give me a second. I need a sip of water. We good? Oh my gosh. Y'all, this took forever. It took forever. I'm so sorry. Okay. Move the Wi-Fi upstairs. That way it's not like an eyesore in here because now we got the TV mounted. It's like nowhere to put it. And it's just like, let's just move it upstairs. Now I realize it's just to just now we connected it and plugged it in to a plug that's connected to one of the 15 billion switches on the wall. My husband just happened to hit that switch that the Wi-Fi is connected to and knocked everything out. And it took forever because we got this whole mesh network system, which should not have taken that long to come back up. We paid good money for this. After we went through the spectrum, all their horrible built equipment, we just had to chalk it up and spend a good bit of money on the mesh network. But anyway, long story short, we back live. All right. So I told my husband, do not touch another light switch in this room until I'm done with this video. Then we need to move it to a place that's not connected to any kind of light switch in this house, right? Okay. All right. Y'all was getting hot, and so I'm about to go change my shirt. I had to put my scarf up because it was hanging down. I'm sweating around my neck and stuff, getting frustrated with everything. I'm like, Facebook will be back because Facebook was up, but it was running off my phone Wi-Fi and trying to hook it to my phone. Just anyway, we're back, y'all. Okay, just Lavon, blessings. Okay, y'all, we back. No, Oahspe College University. I don't think it was YouTube today. I don't think it was YouTube today. It was my husband. He hit the switch. Okay. All right. So what verse? I forgot what verse. Profess love to thee. 23. Great falsehood. Who will hold it in play? Let's just go back to verse 16. I'm not gonna start all the way over. Let's just go back. What the heck? Chapter 14. Let's start over. Okay. Page 328. Keep track of the time. We lost about 30 minutes. Okay. In course of time, word came to Ahura and Varapishanaha of the proceedings of the Lord God, now styled Deus, and of the revolt of all the Lord's heavens in one fell swoop. And Ahura remembered his own shortcomings thousands of years ago and the terrible bondage that came upon him in the end. And he knew Deus, who had been sub-god under him hundreds of years, under the name of Nusahaj, who had tried to break the lines in the Ark of Spada in the resurrection of Elkin. So Ahura prayed to Jehovah before the holy council in Varapishanaha to know what he should say or do in the matter, or if nothing at all. Jehovah answered him, saying, my son, thou art no longer a child. Address thou the Lord God, or not address him, as seemeth fit in thine own eyes. Behold, I suffered thee to try the same road, that thou mightest understand me and my kingdoms. Thereupon Ahura determined to send word to Deus in his own name and in his own way. This then is what he sent to wit.
What you about to say?
I'm about to lick your lips.
Don't do that. God, I can't stand that. It's nasty.
It's not nasty.
It is nasty, babe. I mean, I'm about to say, I'm about to say something else. I got a slick mouth. I can say
okay. All right. Just don't touch no more light switches. All right, babe. All right, y'all have a wonderful day at work. All right, I'm already 30 minutes behind time now.
Yeah, we know behind time.
Okay.
All right. Give me some more.
All right, babe. Okay. My son, thou art no longer a child. My son, thou art no longer a child. Address thou the Lord God, or not address him, as seemeth fit in thine own eyes. Behold, I suffered thee to try the same road, that thou mightest understand me and my kingdoms. Thereupon Ahura determined to send word to Deus in his own name and in his own way. Go put it back. This then is what he sent to wit. To Anusahaj, my one-time sub-God, greeting to thee in justice and wisdom. Wert thou inexperienced, I would treat thee with respect, but thou knowest thou art false. And because thou art false, thou shalt reap in falsehood. Behold, the day shall come when thy gods desert thee, for such is the tree thou hast planted in thy kingdoms. This rule holdeth on the earth and in all the heavens. Can that which is unborn restrain its own birth, or that which is not quickened into life restrain the Creator's hand? So also it is of him that soweth for self. He shall reap a harvest of selves. And thy gods will be for themselves, and thy marshals and all thy hosts, every one pulling in an opposite way. Not suddenly will these things come upon thee, but thou shalt have a mighty kingdom and great honor and glory, such as no other God before thee hath had in these heavens. And thy people shall be jealous to serve thee, striving with all their might to outdo one another in worshipful obedience to thee. And thy name, even the names Deus and Lord God, shall stand for a season, the highest on the earth of all names that have ever been. And at that time, and yet the time shall come that and yet the time shall come that thy names shall be cast out of earth and heaven. Even the deeds that thou shalt do shall be the means of making thy names execrable. Think not, O my Lord God, that thou wilt deal righteously and keep thyself holy. Behold, I too was a revolted God that set up a kingdom for my own glory. And in the time of the beginning thereof, I was most resolute to practice righteousness in all things. But the surroundings overcame me, as I was allied to self. So selfish officers under me beset me on all occasions, and I was forced to find new places and new glories for them, or by their grumbling, they would sow my fields with mutiny. I was powerless in the great kingdom I built up. Thou knowest the result. Thinkest thou the larger thy kingdom, the greater will be thy power to avert thy fall? My experience was opposite of this. I admonish thee in wisdom and justice. I know thou art doing these things not for the raising up of the fruit of the earth, but for thine own aggrandizement and glory. And I say unto thee, the time will surely come when thy gods will do the same things against thee. And in that time, the wise and learned and truthful will fly from thee, but the Druhas and slaves will not leave thee. But thou shalt be environed with them and cast into hell. Thou shalt heap misery upon millions of thy subjects, but thou shalt not escape the hand of justice. Thou shalt reimburse them everyone. Thou hast cast thy net in thy Thou hast cast thy net in shoal water. Thine own feet shall be tangled in the meshes thereof. Behold, I too once craved a great heavenly kingdom. Now I weep day and night because I have it. And thou too shalt experience the time of scalding tears to be rid of that which thou cravest even now. Yet how else shall the dumb be raised in heaven? Who else shall minister to the wandering spirits that overspread the earth, and the evil Druhas, and the lusters and foul smelling? Shall I say to thee, go on, thou self presuming Lord God, the great spirit hath a rod in pickle for thee. The great spirit hath a rod in pickle for thee. Yea, he answereth the ambition of men and gods, sooner or later, in a way they think not of. He bringeth them up with a round turn. Thou art like a man of desirous Thou art like a man desirous of great bulk, that shutteth up the pores of the skin of his flesh. Thou seekest to shut up the course of the heavens that rise out of the earth, upward forever. And as the one choketh up with a foul smell and dieth, so shall it be with thy kingdom. Behold, the way of everlasting light is outward, onward, away from the corporal worlds, but the way of darkness is towards the earth. Sayest thou, the spirits of the dead shall not rise away from the earth, and in their ignorance of the higher heavens become guides to mortals? Behold, and thou hast traveled far, and thou struttest about, saying, it is enough. I, the Lord God, have traveled in the far off heavens. Stay ye at home and work for me forever, that I may be glorified. Wilt thou say, I, the Lord God, I, Deus, am the only Son of the void? Behold, my kingdom lieth in a little corner. Come and worship me, the Lord God, and ye shall see me on my throne. Or wilt thou say, the impersonal space, senseless, by accident fructified itself in corporal substance and became me, the Lord God, in the size of a full grown man, and then I created all the creations? Wherefore let men and angels fall down and worship the man, Deus, who dwelleth in Horeb, a ripple in the lowest heavens? I profess not to love thee, Anusahaj, but justice toward them beneath thee. For thou shalt hoodwink mortals and even angels of little experience to believe thou wert the very creator. But thy gods know thee as to who thou art, and the gods above thee know also. All thy days at most have been but 2,700 years, and the time shall come upon thee that thou shalt be forced by thine own fault to assert thou wert the very creator, whose worlds have run thousands of millions of years. I want to say something. I can't give too many details, but I have run into somebody that I am 100% certain of as of yesterday. I am 100% convinced that there are druges, fetals, familiar spirits attached to this particular person, and their whole conversation is like this. Let me just read this again, because from time to time, I know that person comes, but I'm 100% certain now. Listen to this, verse 23. I profess not to love thee, Anusahaj, but justice toward them, beneath thee. For thou shalt hoodwink mortals and even angels of little experience to believe thou wert the very creator. But thy gods know thee as to whom thou art, and the gods above thee know also. All thy days at most have been but 2,700 years. And the time shall come upon thee that thou shalt be forced by thine own fault to assert thou wert the very creator, whose worlds have run thousands of millions of years. Who can carry so great a falsehood as this, and not carry it? It shall fall down on thee and thy people, and take root and spread abroad to thy place, and thy God's places are the foundations of nothing but lies. For the rule holdeth in all places, high and low, that according to the seed sown, so shall be the harvest, whether good or bad. Nor can any man or God alter this rule, or bend it to the right or left. If it be Jehovah's decree that someone shall make the name of God and Lord God and Deus execrable on earth and in heaven, it may be well that thou hast put thyself into the yoke to that end. Yet I would not have thee so, could I prevent it. Thou wert one time my sub God, and I remember thee well. Thou wert young and full of promise. My judgment spake to me of thee, saying, a sub God to be proud of for thousands of years. But my judgment was not Jehovah's. My love for thee was early nipped in the bud, for thou wert forever talking of thyself. Thou madest thy neighbors gods sick by forever relating thy experiences and thy prophecies as to what thou wouldest do. And when Jehovah encompassed me about in my own evil, thou didst tantalize me because I had not followed thy advice. Now I repeat unto thee, I could not follow anyone's advice, and thou too shalt be environed about and be unable to follow anyone's advice. For such is the bondage of the Godhead, save we cut ourselves loose, making Jehovah the head and front, and ourselves his servants. For the God should not only be the greatest in his kingdom, but the most menial servant of his people, forever throwing off responsibility and forever urging his subjects not to idolize him, but Jehovah, forever showing them that their God is nothing more than themselves, that they must stand alone and become not slaves to their God, but independent beings full of manliness, having faith in the great Spirit only, by which the God bindeth not himself nor his people, giving full sway to love of liberty in every soul, but in tenderness and love that harmonize with Jehovah's proceedings. Now, when thou camest back to me, after I was delivered out of hell, and my kingdoms raised to Vara Pishanaha, thou didst profess to understand these things, and of a truth to love this philosophy. And thou didst pray fervently to Jehovah, repenting of thy former ways, taking part in the rites and ceremonies. Then I opened my heart to thee. My much love for thee, as when I first knew thee, returned upon me a thousandfold. In joy and in tears I fell upon thee, and I praised Jehovah that he had sent me so sweet a love. In each other's arms, we repented and we swore our mutual love forever. Then we both saw the way of Jehovah clear, and he made us strong and wise, full of rejoicing. And we fell to, hand in hand, laboring with Druhas, dark and most foul, teaching them day and night, forever repeating to their stupid minds. And when we were both well nigh exhausted thousands of times, and we slacked up, and withdrew for a short spell, we rested in each other's arms. When we reasoned and philosophized on the plans and glories of Jehovah's works, hopefully watching the signs of progress in our wards. Oh, the glory of those days. Oh, the richness of thy wisdom and love to me in those days of darkness. For 100 years we toiled thus, and I was blessed, and my people were blessed by thee, thou star of our love. When we raised them up, my wards, 4,000 million, were lifted a small way up out of darkness and